Hey everybody, what's up? So, if you've been watching me for the past few months, you may or may not have noticed that I've stopped making the traditional movie reviews of me just sitting here talking about a movie I just saw in the theaters with a bunch of random screenshots and clips randomly appearing. And instead I just stuck to doing the before and after videos in the theater where I just casually talk about the movie that I just saw and my feelings on it. And I did also say in a video about this particular subject that I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do for TV reviews. Fortunately, I've found a solution of sorts that I'm gonna try right now, and I really hope this thing catches on, because this seems like the best option out of the ones I've been floating around in my head. So I'm just gonna rapid fire through a bunch of TV shows and tell you in a very few sentences what I think about them. So I actually thought this was the best time to start this little process, since we did kind of finish the midway point of the year. It's already July. By the way, I'm actually recording this on my birthday, so just to let you guys know. So 6 months are already behind us. We're at pretty much the exact middle of the year, kind of. And I'm just going to talk about a bunch of shows that I watched for the past few months, past 6 months to be precise, and just tell you what I think about it. And I'll make an even longer video with all the shows that I've missed at the end of the year. I really hope this thing works out, so here we go. Here are all the shows that I've watched and I'm going to review for now. Right, so starting us off, Star Wars Resistance. Honestly, like a lot of other people, I did not know what to expect with the show. All I knew was Dave Filoni was producing it. It was going to be set right before The Force Awakens, and it was going to have Poe Dameron in it. Then the first trailer kind of happened. I wasn't on board with it. I watched the first half of the season 1. Yeah, it was kind of iffy for me, and it kind of continued on to like the second half of season 2. It was a very hit and miss show for me. Unfortunately, a lot more misses than actual hits. I loved every time that Poe Dameron was on. I loved seeing BB-8. BB-8 was probably the best part of the show. I was not on board with the protagonist, Kazuda Xiono. I was not on board with the protagonist's best friend, Niku. The best character on the show, I thought, was Yeager, and mostly because of the voice actor and the backstory that they gave him, because it was a very awesome backstory. The show kind of started to get into its stride later in the second half of season 2, but I will say this though, the last 4 or 5 episodes are just absolutely incredible, especially when we actually get into the actual events of Force Awakens, with the destruction of Hosnian Prime and how Kaz was reacting to it. I dug it. I really loved the last 4 episodes of the show. Again, very iffy show for me. I will watch season 2. Hopefully it will get better. I mean, Rebels actually got a lot better as the show progressed. Clone Wars got a lot better as the show progressed. I'm hoping that Resistance can do the same for me. But for right now, it's a very hit and miss show. I kinda like it, not as much as I wanted to, but I'll continue to watch. Hopefully, it'll get better.
The Lion Guard.
Moving on, we have The Lion Guard. Now, for those of you who don't know me, The Lion King is my all-time favorite movie. Like, ever. Not just favorite Disney movie, favorite movie. The Lion King is like my Star Wars. Just for reference, I love the original animated movie. I can't wait for the new live-action animated movie. I love Simba's Pride. I love Lion King 1.5. I love the Timon and Pumbaa show, and I also love the Lion Guard. What can I say? So this season of the Lion Guard, this season 2 to be precise, is probably the longest season of television that I've ever watched. Why? Because it technically started in 2017 and it finished in 2019. I have no idea how the hell that happened. Mostly because they kind of released like 4 episodes every 3 months or so. they had a very curious release schedule, but whatever. Let's just review the entire season as a whole. I loved it. It was even better than the first season. I especially loved what they did with Scar. I loved that they actually brought Scar back. Not because I felt that the show was kind of missing like a really good villain. I just felt like the way they revived Scar, and whenever they do these kind of things, whenever they retcon certain things, they bring back certain characters from the dead, it's always going to be quite questionable how they do it, but I think the way they did it in this season was actually very well done, very well handled, and I really enjoyed what David Oyelowo did with Scar. I think it was an incredible Scar. Scar, as always, was an incredible influence on the show, driving all of the characters to do better and bigger and bolder than the previous season. And I really enjoyed the progression that Kion and his friends had. And you can definitely kind of tell that the voice actors are kind of getting older throughout the season. I mean, like I said, the season kind of actually took 2 years to make. So you notice that these children are getting older. Finally, I'll say this. I have heard some rumors that maybe, possibly, the next season, season 3, will be the final season of The Lion Guard. And I really wouldn't want that to happen. I think there's still a lot more that you can do with this concept. A lot more stories you can tell. Maybe we can see Zira and her family coming back for a few more episodes. But, I mean, if season 3 will be the last one, I'll just be grateful that we got those 3 seasons. And, well, can't wait to see the battle for the Pride Lands in season 3. So, yay! Something to look forward to. Right, so moving on, we have Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is the new show on DC Universe, the show about I like to call it X-Men but weird. Here's the thing. A lot of people I know and respect, all say the same thing. Doom Patrol is the best show on television. If not the best show, then maybe the best superhero show on television. And I gotta be honest, I'm not getting it. I mean, I like the show. It's not that I hate the show. Obviously, I'm wearing the stupid getup to look like a Negative Man. But all the same, I like the show. It's a nice superhero show. It's just, I'll say this. I have no idea what's going on. Like, literally. I think this show is just a collection of storylines that are somehow jumbled together with no clear-cut sense of direction or plot. It's just, I'm gonna be a little bit spoiler-heavy on this review. It's just to say that, Episode 1, the Chief goes missing. Alright, let's go find the Chief. Then they're doing all kind of weird stuff. They're going inside a donkey. Then they're going to this place. Then they're going to this. They're going to Paraguay. Then they're going to visit the old Doom Patrol. Then they're going there. They're going this. And the show just kind of adds more episodes as they go along. It doesn't feel like they have much of a plan for this show. It's just, it almost feels like the showrunners kind of said to themselves, you know what? We're not really sure if the show's going to work. Let's just put all the major storylines together and just put it out there to see if it works. There's no natural progression. It kind of feels like they want to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. It's like, you know what? Let's do an episode about Denny the Street. You know what? Let's do an episode with Flex Mentallo. Let's do an episode of this. Let's do an episode of that. Let's do an episode in the underground. Let's have 2 episodes with the D-Creator. And I don't know, this show, I really understand the show is weird. I understand the comic is weird. I kind of drew the line at the singing unicorn thing, but that's just me. Again, I don't understand why they needed to have evil bots walking around. It's just, I don't know, the show kind of doesn't really make much sense to me. Again, I liked it, I really enjoyed it, but, I mean, it kind of doubled down on drama and flashback and being sad and oh look, being a superhero is bad for you. Don't be a superhero because the life of a superhero is crap. I don't know, I'm not really getting it. I still enjoy the show. I watched season 2 if they decide to make one. Again, let's just talk about having a talking cockroach that talks about the apocalypse. Again, the show doesn't really have much of a direction. I don't mind it. I liked it. I watched all the episodes and I actually really enjoyed myself. But, again, not really 100% sure on whether or not I like everything or not. So, hey, that's just me. Next on the list is Jessica Jones. Now, I'll say this is, I believe it's the last Marvel Netflix show that we're gonna get from that one particular universe before, well, naturally all these shows are going back to Disney, and maybe we'll see some of these characters on Disney Plus, maybe we'll see them in the movies, maybe we'll see them on Hulu, who knows, but let's just say that as a finish to the Marvel Netflix universe, it didn't really do all that well, but it wasn't meant to be a finish for that universe. It was meant to be a finale for the Jessica Jones and her storyline and her other characters' storylines. Now, I'll say this. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm not really sure if it's better than Season 2, which I actually really enjoyed, but my favorite is still Season 1. I'll just say that. I really enjoyed Season 3 as well. I honestly couldn't stand Jerry and Hogarth in this. I don't know. I mean, never more did I want a specific character to die so badly, because I just thought she was an anchor, and not in a good way. I just felt like she dragged the show, dragged the storyline. It was like walking without even lifting your feet. That's what it felt like. It felt like the show was dragging her feet whenever Jerry and Hogarth was on screen. Whenever Jessica or Trish were on screen, perfect. I loved it. I loved their dynamic. I loved all the ramifications from the previous season, having Trish obviously kill Jessica's mother, and this is not a spoiler because it happened in the previous season. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Malcolm's storyline. I really enjoyed the new guy that I can't remember the name of, the guy with the weird asshole detector powers or whatever. The villain was actually very well done. I love it when these villains are just so smart and so cold and calculated that they know exactly what the hero is going to do before the hero does it. Just again, not my favorite season of them all, and I really enjoyed hearing David Tennant's voice at the end. That was a very nice touch, a very nice way to end the season. Overall, the season was not perfect. They introduced a lot of storylines that didn't really go anywhere, particularly with the Jerry and Hogarth character, and even a little bit with Malcolm. He was kind of bleeding out of his you-know-what at the beginning, and they never really made much of an effort to explain why that happens, and that kind of feels like a pretty big thing, but yeah, whatever. It's Jessica Jones, final season. The last season was pretty good. Not as good as the first season, but I mean, I don't think anything's going to ever touch that season, even if they made a season 4 or 5, but whatever. It was a good season. I really enjoyed it. That's all I can say for this point. Right, moving on to the CW universe, Green Arrow, or just simply Arrow as it's called. I really enjoyed this season. The first half of the season, which is technically not this year, it was last year. The first half of the season was amazing. I really enjoyed seeing Oliver in prison. I enjoyed the future stuff a little less, but the Oliver in prison storyline was one of the best storylines this show has ever had, and I really enjoyed the way the other characters were reacting to this stuff. The second half is not quite as strong as the first half, with obviously Oliver being out of prison, just in time for the crossover, who knew, but yeah, it was still pretty much Arrow. It was a new spin on Arrow. This time Oliver was operating within the boundaries of the law, obviously, since everybody knows who he is at this point. I really enjoyed specifically the episode with the documentary thing. I loved the way they addressed all these different points of view on vigilantism, and I really liked the twist that they did with all of the Arrow team operating as technically cops in a way. I really enjoyed seeing Roy Harper back on the team. A lot of other things didn't work for me, but whatever. It was a really nice show. I didn't really like the way they just wrote Curtis out of the show. I enjoyed that he came back at the end, but yeah, Curtis was surprisingly one of my favorite characters after these last few seasons, and I really enjoyed seeing him on the show, and it kind of hurt me to see him go. But whatever, actors gotta find a different work every now and again, I guess. So yeah, really enjoyed this season. It's not the best season of the show ever, but I'm really kind of curious to see how the next season is going to be, the final season, particularly with the Monitor showing up and taking Oliver with him. Is Oliver not going to be in Season 8? Is Season 8 going to be mostly about Diggle and the Canaries and whoever? It's probably going to be a bit of a setup to the 2040s storyline they had. By the way, I didn't really enjoy Mia, Felicity Smoke's daughter. I have no idea why certain people just think that in order for your female character to be a strong, confident, badass female character, you need to make her angry and brooding and hating everybody. I have no idea where that idea came from, there, especially since there are so many other badass female characters in this particular show that are just so much better written than her. But whatever, it's a thing, and I kind of had to accept it. I really enjoyed to see Connor Hawke in the show. I enjoyed seeing Adult William, even though he kind of just pretty much botched every single thing that he tried to do. But whatever, I'm going to be very interested to see if this new season, Season 8, is going to be a complete setup for all the future stuff that we just saw. And I'm kind of curious to see what the flashbacks are going to be this time around, or the flash forwards in this case. So I'm really excited for Season 3. I can't wait. Green Arrow. Coming up next, The Flash. So, I really enjoyed this season of The Flash, and for those of you who don't know, I absolutely hated the previous season of The Flash. It wasn't 100% terrible, but the villain was terrible. A lot of the storylines were terrible. The way Barry was treated was awful. The way they brought him back was terrible. I enjoyed Elongated Man in that season, but whatever. Some episodes were good, but most of them were trash. This season, however, it was a return to form. I really enjoyed this season. I liked it. The villain was miles ahead of last season. It was such a huge improvement over the previous season's villain. I really enjoyed Cicada. Both cicadas, as it turns out, they were frightening, menacing, and the genuine threat. I really enjoyed the furthering of the storyline with Caitlin and Killer Frost. Killer Frost is now one of my favorite characters on the show. It kind of bums me up what they did with Cisco in this season, but Barry and Iris, I loved it. I loved Joe West in this season, which kind of makes me really excited for the next season to see what they do with him. I really enjoyed Cecile in this season. I actually kind of enjoyed Sherlock, whatever you pronounce his name. I mean, when they said they were going to bring the best detective in the multiverse, my brain, because it's me, my brain immediately went to Batman for some reason, but it was kind of obvious that they tried to bring another Wells to join in on the fun. I mean, it's kind of a staple. Every single season of The Flash has a different Wells in it. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. As far as Excess goes, she was a hit-and-miss character for me. Unlike Resistance, though, much more hits than misses. But yeah, she kind of did a lot of stuff wrong, which kind of pissed me off a little bit. But then she kind of did a lot of things right, which I liked about her. And I really enjoyed the way they ended her storyline in the show, and I'm actually very curious to see what they do with The Flash next season, since they kind of moved the date of his disappearing. I kind of think that was a bit of a cheap and lazy writing thing. It's like when they announced in season 1 that The Flash was going to disappear in 2024, I was like, oh wow, we're going to get 10 seasons of this! And then they moved it 5 years backwards, and now he's going to disappear in 2019. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I mean, the show's not going the way we thought it was. We're not going to make it to 10 seasons to make The Flash disappear. Let's move it a little bit forward so we can wrap that storyline up. I mean, I was not a fan. I think it's just lazy writing. But I guess it kind of works out because of the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover next year. So, who knows, maybe I'll actually grow to love that decision. So that's my opinions on The Flash. Moving on, we have Supergirl, and yes, I am fully aware that I'm holding a Superman action figure. I don't actually own a Supergirl action figure. Anyway, this season of Supergirl is easily the best season of the show ever, and I kind of feels a little cheap with me saying that, because in my opinion, every season of Supergirl just gets better. I was not really a big fan of season 1. I really enjoyed season 2, I enjoyed season 3 even more, and this is easily the best. I enjoyed what they did with the show Supergirl, and not so much the character. I'll get into why that is. First of all, I'm going to be the first to get it out there. I am not a fan of how they treated Superman in the show repeatedly. I pretty much said my thoughts on it in my Elseworlds review, which you can check out on my channel, by the way. I'm not a fan of how they're continually just downplaying Superman, because, I mean, it's Superman! Not only this show wouldn't exist without Superman, the entire superhero genre wouldn't exist the way that it does now if it not for Superman. And I know Superman is not the first, he's not the only superhero character from the 40s or 30s or wherever he came out, but I mean, he's the first one to popularize the idea of superheroes, and it's literally in the name, Superman. So I really don't like the way they disrespect the character, but whatever, that's just me. My biggest problem with Supergirl has been consistently the same. They do absolutely nothing with their main character. Supergirl is the least interesting character on her own show, which is just kind of bonkers to me. I don't understand why they do that. I mean, I don't watch the show for Supergirl anymore. I don't. I watch the show for Alex. I watch the show for Lena. I watch the show for James. Brainy, even, in this particular season. Leonol. I love all the characters except for Supergirl because they give her nothing to do. No development, no arc, no nothing. She's just there. I mean, it frustrates me because they've had such a wonderful character in Supergirl. They have an amazing actress in Melissa Benoist, who's so much better as Supergirl when they do crossovers with other shows. I mean, when she shows up on The Flash or in Legends or in Arrow, she's an amazing character, and I don't understand why on her own show she's the most boring character of them all. I don't understand that, but whatever. Alex was incredible in this season. She's my favorite character on the show. Lena was amazing. James, I love James. Sam the Warrior Whitwer, I love him in everything, and seeing him back in the Superman mythos world was just incredible, and I'm so glad they didn't kill him off. That means we get to see him again, maybe next season. And now let's move on to my favorite part in this season, Lex Luthor. They nailed him. John Cryer did the most incredible job. I mean, he's not as good as my favorite Lex Luthor, by the way, which is Michael Rosenbaum. I think he's my third favorite Lex Luthor, the first one being Michael Rosenbaum, the second one being Clancy Brown, and the third one is John Cryer. John Cryer was incredible as Lex. I mean, he just ran through the show like a buzzsaw. He really just gave Supergirl a proper challenge this time around. I actually really enjoyed what they did with the Red Daughter storyline, but I mean, they nailed Lex, and it kind of gives me hope seeing the monitor at the end that maybe Lex isn't, spoiler alert, dead, because I mean, you can't kill Lex Luthor, especially since he's the best part of the show. But like I said, I'm not a fan of what they did with Superman this season especially. I'm not a fan that they continuously just don't give anything for Supergirl to do, but I really love this season and I can't wait for the next season. That's all I can say about that. Especially since, well, Lena knows, so yeah, we'll see how that works. And especially since it looks like they're bringing Ma'ala Fa'ak in next season. I mean, I can just sit here all day, talk about things that I loved about this season in particular, but again, the main character, man, it sucks. Alright, so Legends of Tomorrow, and no, unfortunately, no props this time around because I don't really have much to represent. I mean, I thought about having a TARDIS just because, you know, time travel, but it still doesn't really fit. Anyway, this kind of bums me out because this is my favorite show out of the CW stuff. I love Legends of Tomorrow. I love that they just don't take themselves too seriously and still somehow manage to do an entertaining and funny and fun show. And this season is easily the best. I love this season. I mean, I'm in love with this show. I adore this show. I don't understand why people hate this show. I mean, not everybody hates the show, but I've been talking to a lot of people that they just think that the show is stupid and silly, and I think the same thing, but I love it because of that. I love the silliness, I love the wackiness, I love the zaniness. I just love this show. I love the characters. I love the creative ways they keep trying to find ways to bring certain characters back because they're so good, specifically with Amaya this time around. The way they used Charlie to sort of shapeshift into her. I love Constantine. Constantine is one of the best new additions to the show this season. Kind of bums me out that they had Wally West last season for a few episodes and then they just threw him off. I mean, what's happening with Wally West? I mean, I want more Wally West in the CW universe. I think this character's been severely cut short, unfortunately. I would have loved seeing him on the Legends team. I think the Legends need a speedster, especially since a speedster is one of the few characters that in this universe that can actually travel in time on his own without the use of the Wave Rider or the Jump Ship. But whatever, I really enjoyed the show. The episode where Constantine, Zari, and Charlie are just jumping from one different timeline to another, trying to fix Constantine's mistake and keep making things worse, was the funniest thing I've seen all year. I mean, I absolutely loved it. And technically, yes, it was kind of last year, but whatever, I'm counting it as part of this year. I think this was the best use of time travel I've ever seen on television, ever. And yeah, that's a pretty high bar since I've seen every single episode of Doctor Who twice. So yeah, I absolutely love this season. I loved seeing Biff Tannen as Nate's dad. I really enjoyed that little bit of Easter egg. I wonder if they can bring some more time travel notable characters onto the show. Maybe Christopher Lloyd, maybe one of the Doctor Who actors, aside from obviously Arthur Darvill as Rip Hunter. Rest in peace, Rip Hunter. But I'm running out of words to explain just how much I love this show. I love this show, I love this season, and I can't wait to see what they do with the next season, especially since they kind of have a bit of a character lineup change. I mean, out of all of the CW shows, this is the show that actually changes the roster the most. I mean, obviously last season one half of Firestorm died, and Jax needed to go away, and they brought Constantine, like I've mentioned. Wally West. Now Zari is a man, or rather, Zari is her own brother. Replace whatever. I loved seeing Nora Dark as part of the show. I mean, I love so much of the show. I love that they just stopped making sense and they're just doing their own thing. I love the show, and that's all I can say about the show. Other than I love the show, so I love the season. Yeah.
He was black. He said, "This is for the street. Black Lightning's back."
Moving on, we have Black Lightning. Again, no prompts for this thing. It's just that I don't really have anything that could possibly represent this show. Anyway, let's talk about the actual show. I gotta be honest with you guys, I kind of started watching this show a bit late, last season at least, but I started watching season 2, and I have to be completely honest, I completely dropped off the show. I stopped watching the show entirely, and the only reason I actually decided to pick the show up and rewatch it is to make this video. That's literally the only reason I decided to say, oh, you know what, let's just finish this season and review it. This show's not for me. I apologize. I mean, I know that it's considered one of the best superhero shows out there, but again, just like with Doom Patrol, I don't get it. I don't understand why it's one of the best superhero shows out there. And, I mean, I know that a lot of people love the show, and I apologize. I don't know. I just don't get why certain things are happening on the show. I understand what they're trying to do with the show, and I respect that. Just a lot of things don't make sense. A lot of the characters, and I love the characters. The characters are really good, very well written, very smart. It's just they keep making stupid mistakes, unbecoming of the character. I mean, it's annoying when you know the character is smarter than the things he's doing, but he's still doing a lot of really stupid stuff. And it's not just the main character, Jeff. It's also Anissa. I mean, Jennifer. I don't understand why she keeps making stupid mistakes, like deciding she wants to go kill Tobias. I guess I can understand why she does that, but why she decided to rebel against her parents for a few episodes and come back. I mean, a lot of the show doesn't make much sense to me. That one episodic arc with the party and the Sanjay, I don't understand why they had to put that in there. It had zero impact on the rest of the story. I don't understand why they keep playing the music choices in the show in the wrong times. Like, they're putting some jazz music during an action scene, and it's just, I don't look. Even Sandy doesn't like this show. I guess it doesn't understand why they keep going back to that annoying Reverend character who keeps preaching to the choir, like during an action scene. I don't know. Maybe the problem is with me. I just really don't like the show. But I can still keep watching it because I enjoy certain parts of it. That's all I can say. And, well, I'll give Season 3 a shot. Maybe the next season will change my mind on it. That's all I can say about Black Lightning at the moment. Finally, let's end it with something that I actually started watching yesterday. And finished last night. I mean, I literally just took the entire day off. Not from work, obviously. I took the entire day off from doing other stuff to just sit down and watch Stranger Things 3. I mean, I watched it from the morning all the way to the night, and let me just say, I truly have saved the best for last. Out of all the shows that I've reviewed up till now, and all the shows that I've watched this year, this is easily, by far, the best show I've watched. I mean, I loved Season 3. The way I see it, Season 1 is still my favorite, then Season 3, and then Season 2. I didn't hate Season 2. I really liked it. It's just not quite as much as Seasons 3 and 1. I really especially enjoyed how they kind of had several different storylines all happening at the same time, and at first it kind of didn't feel like all these 4, 5, 6 storylines were connected to each other until they were, until you kind of realize that all these things are connected and all has to do with the Russians trying to reopen the entrance to the Upside Down, and it kind of affected all these different groups of characters, and I really enjoyed all the new characters that came along, and I enjoyed the fact that they split all of the characters into new groups. There's the A team, the B team, and the C team, kind of. I'm not really sure which is which at this point, but I really enjoyed the way they brought all these storylines together and how they continue to make great viewable content. And the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer was one of the best villains on television that doesn't speak. That's the best way I can explain. It's literally made out of the bodies of melted people, and it's able to just change in size and shape and get inside small places that other characters on the show couldn't. I mean, when he squeezed himself underneath the door to attack Nancy, I just remember sitting there thinking to myself, well, damn, how are they going to beat this guy? And he proved himself even more powerful than 11 at some points, and now 11 doesn't even have her powers anymore. How are they going to defeat this guy? And I really enjoyed the fact that the entire world rested on Dustin singing the song from the Neverending Story. I literally just started singing that song on a loop over and over and over after I finished watching this show. I mean, this is easily the best thing I've watched all season, TV or otherwise. I think it's even better than my favorite movie of the year, Shazam. That's just how much I absolutely enjoyed. I loved every single minute of this season. I can't wait for season 4, if they're ever actually going to make a season 4. I think the original plan was to make just 3 seasons and be done with it, but then they kind of had that little bit of a post-credit scene at the end, so I'm not really sure if they're going to make another season. If they are going to make a season, I wonder if the buyers are going to come back and if 11 is going to come back, but whatever. I'm really excited for whatever Stranger Things can throw at me next. I'm a huge fan. I'm a legit fan, so I really enjoyed this season of Stranger Things, and I can't wait to see what other strange things this show can throw at me. Right, so that's pretty much it for all of these TV shows that I've watched in the past few months. My little TV show recap. What did you think? Did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? Did you like these shows? Did you hate these shows? Did you even watch some of these shows? Because I'm pretty sure some of you haven't. So, yeah, I'm going to hope you guys enjoy this new format. I'm going to try to see how this thing continues to work for me personally. And, well, I'll see you guys some other time, I guess. Sandy, say goodbye to the nice people. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Hello again, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed this video, because I really enjoyed making it. So, if you like what you've seen here, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more awesome content like this. So, until next time, guys, I'll see you guys next time.